Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Gearhead Grind Garage. Here we are in the home garage doing some work on the Can-Am Maverick. This is my 2020 XRC, the Turbo RR XRC model, which if you've been following, there's a good amount of work done already, but plenty more to do to really make this thing race ready and as bulletproof as we possibly can. So that way when we're out there, we don't break something stupid and easy. Hopefully if there's any problems, it's just due to my driving and being a bit of a novice, but I'll take you through what we've done to the front suspension so far and really just focus on the front end in this video. So far we have some components from CT Race Worx. They are a partner of Gearhead Grind, really awesome working with them. We also have some front control arms from SuperATV. They are a sponsor of a race team that I also compete on or with as well. And so always good having their support with us too. We also have just a few other parts, so I'll point some things out, what we've done so far in an effort to bulletproof this front end. But if you know about these cars, there's plenty of things that we haven't even gotten to yet that we can do. So things I'll not necessarily mention as I haven't yet gotten to them are front sway bars or sway bar links. At the very minimum, you should replace the links because those are prone to errors. We have not done that yet. That's on the list. We have also not done any progressive springs, so we'll be working with shock therapy to get this thing resprung and revalved as well. That is also not yet done. So we'll focus more on the suspension components and the gussets that we have done. All right, ready to dive in? Let's do this. All right, so here's the front end on the Can-Am as it's taken apart right now. We had it even more stripped down. It's back together in somewhat of a complete state. All the front lights are kind of floating here in the front bumper. Going to adjust some of the wiring on those, and of course we don't have the front clip on, but at least the suspension is back together. So as you can see, we have the SuperATV upper and lower control arms on here. Right now we are rocking the stock front axles. But we'll be eventually replacing axles. I'm going to have some spares, and then as we see failures, or if we see failures, start replacing them as well with new full sets. But also one of those things that hasn't been addressed. One aspect of the front end, which is not evident just from looking at it, but we are actually rocking some new 300M upper and lower ball joints on here. I'll include a picture of those so you can see what they look like, but those should really strengthen up any weaknesses in the stock ball joints. In this case, I did decide to go with ball joints over uniballs. Just for maintenance, this is not a pure race car in the sense that it does do double duty. I still like going out and doing trail riding. And for the sake of keeping these lube and maintenance, I decided to go with the ball joints over the uniballs for that. Hopefully the 300M ones are perfectly strong enough and are not a point of failure. I suspect that the knuckle will fail before those, but we'll see, and we'll learn from there. The control arms overall are really nicely constructed of 1¼ tube with some gusseting and plate. As you can see down here, I also have the UHMW sliders from the stock control arms, so I actually will be installing this as well. It basically just goes over the control arms like that and gives a little extra protection from rocks or anything, so it allows you to slide across them a bit and helps protect from impacts slightly, things kind of kicking up there. I will put those on, but I wanted to keep them off for the sake of showing you what's going on right now. Also, if we go around the back, you can see here at the top, and then as we track down, we do have the shock therapy limit straps on the front. I also have limit straps on the rear, but they are CA Technologies ones, not the shock therapy ones. Really nice straps on the front, super easy to install. You can see it up there, it just clamps around the top of the shock tube, comes down and prevents this front end from bottoming out and doing the traditional clunking noise that's associated with the front ends of these Can-Ams. Also have the bump steer delete kit here, as you can see from shock therapy. Tie rod goes up, connects to the stock steering rack. I would love to get a billet rack as well, but we're gonna stick with the stock one for now. Really nice piece on there. It does make a difference. Adjust the, prevents any harsh inputs to the steering wheel, really, outside of taking any hits. But when you are turning and going around, it definitely eliminates that bump steer. I noticed a huge difference the first time I took it out. And actually, since I'm over here, you can see the top of the ball joint right there. So it is a serviceable ball joint. This top piece, actually, you can spin it out and take these things completely apart, re-grease them, service them, do whatever you need there. So it is nice that they are rebuildable as well. Also, looking at the front end, one thing that we did while we had it apart for the control arms is install this CT Race Worx Gusset Kit, as I mentioned earlier. So you can see in there, this installs, in my case, because I have the rock crawler version, we have the front winch here, and this Gusset Kit installs between the front bulkhead for the winch and the actual front frame for the Can-Am. So it puts everything in double shear here. So basically we have an extra 1/8 inch of steel per side, as well as some extra boxing in there for strength. Prevents these control arm mounts from moving around at all, and makes sure to capture both sides of the bolts. This does include new bolts, and you can't see it, but I am also rocking the race plate from CT Race Worx. So basically you can pull out these bolts a lot quicker, and they're no longer studs that are, like, basically before the bolts came out of the front of the frame and there's studs on there. So the front here would be a nut, but now it's actually threaded in here and there's plates, so that way the bolts go in, and it makes everything a lot easier because you no longer are trying to work around studs. If we look up here in the top, we have the upper control arm rear gusset. One cool thing about this, which, here, sorry, as I switch over the light here, is there's actually a plate right here that I have my finger on that connects this gusset to, let's see if I can go around the back maybe, to the front of this frame rail. It's gonna be really hard to see, but it's in here. So it connects that and ties it all together. So in addition to having this tube and everything squared in, we also have another connection point hooking up this gusset. And of course we have double shear with this gusset, which is really, really nice. On the bottom here, you can see there's another gusset up in there, which puts this lower control arm rear mount into double shear as well. This kit, to be fair, is a bit of a pain to install. Let me come around to this side and I'll show you why. But it's totally worth it, of course, because it completely bulletproofs the front of the vehicle as much as possible. But with the XRC version, we have the locking differential in here. So this bolt right here is a pain because it has to come through the back. You can see there's not a lot of room there, so it actually does hit that steering rack, so you can't fully pull it out. And to get this gusset in, it requires a little bit of ingenuity and a lot of love trying to get that bolt in and everything installed there, but definitely worth it in the long run. One other thing of note is that we do have the in-house built front shock tower mount. So you can see it's connecting the two shock mounts up here with tube, and it's all strengthened and boxed in. This upper part, you can't see it, but this is actually completely boxed in on the back to make a strong connecting piece there. And then it does come down and tie into the frame here itself, and that prevents this shock from basically pivoting backwards. So when these are taking a hit, the stock shock tower, because it's not typically braced in here, likes to pivot back, and that puts wear and tear on it, and it can fatigue the metal and eventually completely break off. So by connecting it to the frame, this makes it so that it's not basically pulling back. It's another point to tie it in, and then prevents that fatigue. Please ignore this bundle of wires here. I need to pull those through the firewall still. It's just a work in progress. Well, that pretty much takes care of the front end so far. If you have any questions, shoot them to me in the comments. This is what we've done so far. Still have plenty of plans. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it gives you some ideas for your own ride. And one final note about the front end of these Can-Ams is you do want to take them apart and grease the hubs for some reason they come really dry from the factory. So if you do your own work and you're not taking it to the shop for this, you'll want to go ahead and pick up one of these greasing tools. A lot of companies make them. This one's from CA Technologies, worked really well. But basically you go ahead and take off the brake caliper and then the outer hub, including the rotor, pull it out, and then that gives you access to the bearings on the hub itself. All you do is you fit this in, the center, you know, the axle and the splines go in the middle here so that you don't have to pull out the axle or anything. Put this in, hook up your grease gun, and basically just pump it till the grease comes out. They're just really dry for whatever reason. So go ahead and grease this thing. It's gonna help your bearings and your front hubs live a lot longer. So definitely, you know, one pro tip for people out there doing their own work and want to get a little extra life out of their parts. Cool, hopefully that helps. Hey everyone, for any of these parts and more, feel free to go to gearheadgrind.com to check it out. We have our in-house made parts. We also have a full offering from CT Race Worx as well as 56 Industries. So you get some amazing suspension parts for Can-Ams and other vehicles. We only work with the best industries, the ones that offer full, you know, lifetime warranties, no questions asked. But you shouldn't even break it because they're all awesome, super strong. So go ahead and check out that site, gearheadgrind.com. Let us know what other questions or comments you have. Hopefully you like this video. Please click the like button down below. Please subscribe. Let us know what we can do better as well. We're totally open to feedback and trying to help you out in any way possible. Thanks everyone. Have an awesome day.